I saw the 13th opening to My Hero Academia, so let's talk about it. Probably don't need to say this, but spoilers ahead, so hit that like button and come back later. So I made it pretty clear on here that I love My Hero Academia, and I love listening to Japanese music. And the first video I done on here talking about an anime opening was the 12th opening to My Hero Academia. The views for that did good, and the views for the Suicide Squad Isekai opening did good too, so I'm going to be talking about what might possibly be the last opening to My Hero Academia. And with this opening most likely being the last opening theme to the series, it is very emotional to me. In my opinion, one of the best openings to an anime is its 13th opening, and oh my gosh, I think My Hero Academia's 13th opening might be one of the best openings in the series. The opening starts off with Izuku and Shigaraki facing off each other in the destroyed rubble of the city, but as the opening begins, we see both Izuku and Shigaraki reverting to their younger selves, showing us about where the two first started before they got to this point. And I like some of the extra details we get to Izuku's character here, like you can tell that Izuku is wearing his gym uniform from the time when he and Shigaraki first met each other at the USJ. I also like this moment here where Izuku is wearing his Kamino design. I don't know why, but his Kamino design didn't really leave that much of an impression on me, so I didn't really expect to see in the last opening. As we see Izuku and Shigaraki growing up, we see a couple flashbacks showing us where the locations were for both of the characters' major origin stories, like the train station where Izuku saw Kamui Woods fighting that giant villain, and Shigaraki's childhood home. And one thing I like to overanalyze with this moment is that the second picture that we get with this scene is of UA, so I think that's kind of representing both Izuku and Shigaraki's origins intertwined with one another for both of the characters to meet up at UA for their final battle. After seeing those characters growing up, we cut onto Izuku, and then the camera points up to the sky, giving us the logo to the anime. After that, we get a few awesome shots relating to some of the final opponents we'll be seeing in this series, like this one here of All For One and All Might. We get this awesome moment showing us some moments from their past, like this one scene here for All For One, where he's looking over in the city, dreaming of his ambitions of ruling the world. We also get this one scene here where we see All For One meeting Shigaraki and saving him, and I like how All For One is covered in darkness while his hand is out in the light, representing Shigaraki getting hope and getting saved by somebody. Though technically this is where all the tragedy begins because Shigaraki was never saved in that moment. We also get this legit creepy smile from All For One that gave me nightmares the moment I saw it. But after we're done focusing on All For One for a bit, we start focusing things on All Might for a little bit now. We get this iconic moment here where we see All Might's victory pose after he defeated All For One again in Kamino. But then after that moment, similar to how we saw All For One handing out his hand to Shigaraki, we get a moment similar to that where we see All Might telling Izuku that he can be a hero. And after All Might tells Izuku that he can become a hero, we see him smiling as he tells him that he can inherit his quirk and gives him the details about what One For All is. We then cut to Uraraka and Toga's characters, where we see Toga being all depressed due to the fact that she feels like she's not normal. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing Toga all sad to the point where she's about to cry makes me feel very sad. We then see Uraraka in a similar position to Toga, looking her way, offering a hand to help her. After we're done focusing on those characters, we see Dabi maliciously laughing at his father, and we see Shoto and the rest of his family, which I'm assuming they were looking at Dabi, getting ready to try to save him. Even though Spinner is an underrated character, it is nice to see him getting a bit of spotlight in this opening, just like with the previous one. We also finally get our first look to Shoji without his mask. Oh my gosh, I'm just so hyped to see that fight between Shoji and Spinner. Like, that's just gonna be so emotional to watch. After we're done focusing on some of these heroes and villains who have a deep connection with one another, we cut to some moments we're going to be seeing in the second half of the final season, like Mirio giving his final joke, Kurogiri locked up in the hospital that Shoji is trying to protect. We see the retired hero Death Arms trying to hold up this boulder from falling on some people, and we see Toga turn into Twice getting ready to use Sad Man's Parade. We also see Aizawa and Monoma right there at the scene as Toga is about to use Twice's special move. After that, we see Stain again getting ready to enter the fight, and then we see the kid version of Shigaraki wrapped around all these arms asking for help. And after that, this is where the opening starts to become absolute hype as we see young All For One fighting Iron All Might. And I gotta say, I love how crazy young All For One looks when he sees Iron All Might. And speaking of Iron All Might, I'm very much liking the design given to him. Like, I'm really liking the black and yellow aesthetic. I'm just so ready to see that fight animated as soon as possible. If it's anything as close to how great it's animated in the opening, then I'm sure the fight is gonna be peak. After that, we see Ida carrying Todoroki as fast as possible in order to get to where Dabi is. And I like that Todoroki is wearing Ida's suit to reduce the G-force due to how fast they are going. Like, seriously, they are just going so fast in this scene. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the anime adapts this. We see other members of Class 1A having their iconic moments for the final battle, like Tokoyami unleashing Dark Shadow, Mina trying her best to fight off all the villains around her, Uraraka and Toga fighting one another. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for that one. And the Todoroki family reaching out to Dabi in order to save him from himself, and I just gotta say, that is some beautiful animation. I'm just loving the extra black lines around Dabi's hair. It's just so beautiful to me. We then see a sneak peek to one of the final fights of the series, Izuku vs Shigaraki, where it seems that Izuku is using the second user of One For All's ability. I could be wrong, but the second user to One For All's ability is pretty OP, so I'm really looking forward to seeing on how the anime adapts that one. And yeah, like I've been mentioning before in this opening, if it's anything as good as this opening, then I'm sure it's gonna be awesome when we see in the anime. But by far, I think my favorite moment of this opening has to be towards the ending, where we see Zuko keeping to the messages of this anime, where most heroes have a common theme, where most of them run to save somebody without even thinking. You can even tell here how similar it is to how Izuku was first running up to try to save Bakugo from the sludge villain in episode 2. We then get a look to some of the most important people to Izuku's life, like his classmates and mentors. Also, I'm not sure what Mineta did, but judging by that smile, it looks like that he enjoyed it. Seriously though, I love these characters so much, and I'm gonna miss them a ton when this series is over. I like that the final people that Izuku thinks of in this opening is his closest friends, Bakugo, Ida, Todoroki, and Uraraka, along with his mentor, All Might. And I like how we continue seeing Izuku running to the point where we see him in his middle school design, and then we see him turning back into a child, seeing Shigaraki again. We then see Shigaraki facing back towards Izuku, and Izuku stands up and grows up again, faces towards Shigaraki, and tries to save the little kid inside of him, Tomura. I really love all the different things we got in this opening here. It's just so beautiful. I love this series. Like, it does not deserve the hate that it gets. With the manga ending in early August, and judging by what I saw in this opening, this most certainly is the end of My Hero Academia, and yeah, I'm gonna miss it. This series saved me when I was starting off my sophomore year in high school, and yeah, I'm just gonna miss it so much.